Welcome everyone to the first Friday entrepreneurship call with K-State Research and Extension. As you hear me say every month, our mutual goal is to engage the knowledge, wisdom, and relationships of the local communities with the research and the experimentation of the university to create vital communities. There's lots going on in Kansas, as evidenced by the people, a full calendar of people who are here to talk with you about the resources that they can be to your entrepreneurs and small businesses. And so thank you for making yourselves aware of those entrepreneur resources. Our speaker today is Bret Lanz, the Marketing and Development Manager with the Technology Development Institute. They were formerly known as Advanced Manufacturing Institute. And Bret is going to tell us a little bit about what the TDI does.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. The Technology Development Institute is actually a department in the College of Engineering here at Kansas State University. So we are part of the university. Our employees are university staff, but we do not do a lot of the traditional research and or teaching side of things that is traditionally associated with the university. I've got a short presentation we'll kind of walk through here to give you all a little bit more information on who our organization is, and then talk just a little bit about, kind of that front end work. If you've got entrepreneurs or if you are an entrepreneur that's looking to develop a new product or technology, kind of what are those first steps? And we get involved in both the business and development side of things, but also the engineering side. We'll kind of walk through the presentation here real quickly and give you a little more information on our organization and then get into that. So as I mentioned, we are a unit within the College of Engineering here at K-State. We were actually established in 1985. Since about 1995, we've completed over 2,500 development projects with over 600 clients. When we were originally developed, we were a component of the Kansas Technology Enterprise Corporation. So we were actually a university center within K-Tech, focused primarily on the manufacturing side of things. And so a lot of our clients at the time were primarily focused within the state of Kansas. With the demise of K-Tech and several of our other funding streams diminished, we've kind of had to branch out a little bit. And so probably 70% or better of our clients today are not actually in Kansas. So we're doing work with companies all across the country. Our ultimate goal is to try and get those products and technologies that are developed and bring them into Kansas, either by helping to relocate the company or best case scenario, and we've had this happen several times, is we're able to develop new products and find manufacturers here in the state. So the companies may not want to necessarily be a manufacturing company, they want to be a marketing and sales company, but there are manufacturing companies in the state that can produce products for them. So those are kind of the different avenues that we pursue when we're working with companies to bring those types of opportunities to the state. Our facility is about a 22,000 square foot facility. We're actually located off campus down what used to be the industrial park down here, but it seems like it's turning into more the retail and food sector down off McCall Road. Half of our facility is office space where our engineering staff does CAD modeling. We've got some 3D printers in that space as well. But the back half of our facility is actually a full-fledged prototyping shop. And there we have laser, water jet, 140-ton press brakes, CNC mills, CNC lathes, powder coating. So if you can cut, bend, weld, 3D print, pretty much anything you can think of, we have the facilities here that we are actually able to produce those products on site, test them, revise them, and really help people kind of get that first feel of what this thing or concept is going to look like. We do some small scale manufacturing. So one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is when they're launching new products, they may need 10 or 15 or 20 at a time, whereas most manufacturing companies won't look at anything at those low volumes. And with the equipment that we have here, we're able to produce very high quality finished products at a fairly low volume. And so we do help entrepreneurs as they're trying to scale up their production to get out and do some beta testing and have enough units to be in the field doing that type of work. That's where our facility actually comes in very handy to support those type of activities. And we're able to do those low volume production runs and get the parts they need to help grow the business and move it forward. We've got probably, I think we're up to about 13 full-time staff members. The majority of those are degreed engineers. So we've got mechanical engineers, we've got control systems engineers, electromechanical, several different areas of engineering expertise. I am one of the few people that is actually not an engineer. My background is in marketing, sales, finance. When I did my MBA here at K-State, when I was finishing my MBA, I actually started work with one of the startup companies that rolled out of the university. That company was focused on neutralization of chemical and biological warfare agents. So I kind of got a crash course in chemistry and product development all at the same time, and worked with that company for several years, and actually ended up leaving there and came down to the Technology Development Institute, where we focus on the same thing. We're taking new technologies, new products, we're walking them through the same process every time of understanding what the market's looking for and should we be working on this, and then actually helping people to design and build those. So again, our team consists of engineering and business professionals. Our customers range anywhere from entrepreneurs, inventors, all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. We work in several different industries, whether it be ag, aviation, rail, different types of technologies that we get involved in. And so what we're able to do is take what we learn from one industry a lot of times and carry it into other industries. So it actually works well for our staff to not be very deep in any one industry, but what we've developed is a process whereby we can learn very quickly what the industry is looking for, what the technology is we're working to develop, and be able to be a pair of hands to help people move those ideas forward. We do work with customers on a contract basis, so all of the work that we perform, we actually charge for. We receive very little funding from the university and or the state. We do have a few grants that I'll talk about here in a minute that are supportive of our efforts, but the primary revenue generation for our organization is contract work. And so the services that we provide are billed out and are charged for. And the way we typically do that is we'll sit down with entrepreneurs or inventors or companies, and we take a look at the product or the idea and where they're at in that development phase and what they need assistance with. And then we'll put a price point, we'll put a set of deliverables, we'll put a timeline on what we think we can do to assist them. And then if they choose to move forward with that, we'll start performing that work and moving forward with the project. And if anyone has questions as I'm going through this, feel free to jump in, or we can address questions when we finish up here. So services provided, this is kind of the front end piece that we'll talk a little bit more about, but the product development and business startup assistance, really what we try and get involved in is the very front end work and understanding. So if someone comes to us and says, I've got an idea for a new product, the first few things that I ask them is, have they done a prior art search? And by prior art, I'm talking a patent search, a literature search, just to understand what's out there, what's been patented, but also have they done a competitive product search? I can't tell you how many times I've had people come in and say, well, I've looked everywhere and I haven't seen anything like this. And it takes me about 2 to 3 minutes to find the patent that covers their idea. So, truly doing your homework and understanding, just because a product isn't being sold today doesn't mean that someone hasn't patented it in the past or patented something very similar to it, which is going to prevent you from getting a patent on it. And so, again, if you're thinking through what that development process is going to look like, making sure you understand not only what's in the marketplace today, but what's the intellectual property field look like? Because one, you don't want to infringe on someone else's patents, but two, if your whole idea is based around, I'm going to patent this idea, I'm going to license it to someone, well, you better make sure that it hasn't been patented before, or that you even have a chance of trying to get a patent on it, or that there isn't 15 other things that are very similar to this that are already expired, and that you're out trying to license an idea that someone could go use for free if they used one of these other patents. And so helping them to understand that whole process and where their product or idea fits into that kind of helps flush out that business case and understanding what the value proposition is for what your idea or product is. The other piece of that is doing the customer research and truly going out and understanding what is it that the customer is looking for, because you may have an idea of a product that meets a need that you have, but does everyone else have that same need? Or does everyone else have a similar need, but it's a little bit different? And if your product did this instead of that, it would meet 80% of what people are looking for. So doing your homework and talking to customers is a truly valuable first step. It doesn't cost a ton of money. It's simple to do, and you have to be willing to listen to what they're telling you. I mean, a lot of times we'll see people that come in and they've got an idea and they know exactly what it needs to be, and they're not willing to listen or change anything. And a lot of times what they'll end up doing is they'll develop the product they wanted it the way they wanted it, but they get into the marketplace and they realize that just because they want it that way, not everyone else does. And so, they're not able to sell the product at the price point that they thought they could because they didn't listen to what the market was telling them. So getting involved in that, asking these questions, doing your research, making sure that you've got a solid business case, you understand the marketplace, you know the price points, you know what the intellectual property strategy is going to be. Make sure that at the point in time you do pull the trigger on developing your prototype and testing it, you're going to have an effective product to launch into the marketplace. So we try and help people make sure they understand all of those things. We do help people obtain patents. We don't actually file the patents on their behalf, but we will work with them to develop their patent disclosures. We've worked with lots and lots of patent attorneys around the Kansas City area and around Kansas. So we can always make recommendations to some good attorneys that we know are going to be suitable and get them what they need. But we can also help them lower the cost of getting those patents by providing them, we do a lot of the CAD modeling and software work, so we can actually do drawings for them, which they're going to need for their patents. We can help them format their disclosure and make sure that they get all of the information into the disclosure, that they can send the drawings and the disclosure to the patent attorney. And again, the less time you can have a $400 an hour patent attorney working on your filing, the more cost effective that's going to be for you. So we do also help people get into creation of branding and logos and things like that. And we don't necessarily do the graphic design or anything, but we help them go through. There's lots of different crowdsourcing options out there these days. So if you're trying to design new logos and things like that, going to different crowdsourcing contests and things like that, it's a very cost-effective way to get lots of very high-end, cool logo designs, for $250, $500, something like that, versus going to a specific graphic designer and having them develop one or two logos, and that's all you get to look at. So we've done a lot of that in the past, trying to help companies, establish their branding and things like that. And just kind of give them some shortcuts and cost-effective ways to do those type of things. We do also support a lot of our customers with trade show attendance and marketing support. So for several of the companies we work with, we are their R&D arm, or we are their marketing and sales group. And so we do work with them, support them, follow them to a lot of those activities, and help them sell their products. Engineering aspects, and this is, after we've gone down the road of, yes, we're convinced there's something here and we want to move forward with design, development, testing of it, we get the engineering staff involved. And so we do provide engineering resources to companies that maybe have limited engineering, or if they've got engineering staff that are busy fighting daily fires and don't have anybody to work on new product development, or there are different types of validation testing or structural testing or anything like that, our group does provide those support activities. So it's not just product design and development, it's everything that you can think of from an engineering support for existing companies. Automation, custom equipment, we do designs and builds of custom equipment. So if there's companies out there that are looking to automate processes, or if there's safety issues and they need to revamp their machine or develop a new machine to address some of those things, we do custom design and build. We do design verification through computer simulations. So if it's flow modeling or structural analysis or anything like that, we have the software and the tools and the know-how to run those types of analysis. Control system development. So if you think of all the electronics that go into things today, we've actually got a certified National Instruments engineer on staff. And so he's able to develop custom software equipment, a lot of times that will tie in with our automation equipment. We do control system development for a wide range of robotics. So if you think of the robotic arms that they use in manufacturing or packaging, we actually do, control system development for those. We've got a couple different projects in here right now where we're actually integrating some robotics into some very specific types of equipment for a couple of different large manufacturers here within the state. We also do reverse engineering of competitive products. A lot of times we have customers that come in our doors and they say, I've got a competitor and they've got a patent on this product and they're making money hand over fist, and I want to get into this market. So, we'll sit down, we'll take a look at those patents, and we will design alternative products for them that don't infringe on their competitors so they can't get sued, but still allow them to enter into that market where they're seeing growth in those areas. So again, it's sitting down with the client, understanding what they're trying to accomplish, and then working through the details to make that happen. We also work with several companies to basically do some technology scouting. So if there's companies out there that are looking to add new products to their product line and they want to try and license those in, or find entrepreneurs that have come up with some new things, we've served in that role whereby we go out and actually do technology scouting. We'll do the patent searches. We'll reach out to inventors that hold those patents and contact them on behalf of the company to try and establish a relationship to bring those technologies in. For university researchers, we do provide a level of support and assistance for a number of their grant applications. So if there's researchers out there that are needing to design or build custom equipment for testing and analysis, we have worked on those projects. Typically, we're written into those grants to cover the cost of doing those type of things. We also have a separate for-profit C corporation by the name of Tallgrass Solutions, where we offer a number of different products for sale. Those are typically research products, that are low volume, high margin type products that we can manufacture here at our facility and offer them for sale to a very specific research community. We've got several entrepreneurs that we've worked with whereby they've developed products and they actually do the manufacturing on those. We will make the parts for them, but they actually do the assembly and everything. And then we bring them back in, put them on our website for sale. We actually take the orders, we process, we ship, and then we take a percentage of the markup on the sales is how we cover the cost of doing that. But that company is basically used to specifically sell products that either we manufacture or we, in conjunction with various entrepreneurs, are able to go out. And through that website, we sell products all over the world on a daily basis. So it's a good tool to use if somebody isn't sure they want to jump completely in and they want to kind of do some test sales. The structure's there that they could sell products through that entity and still receive payment in a couple different options. And it's worked well for getting initial launches done and then eventually transitioned out to a full-fledged company. We also have, we're recently awarded this year a grant from the SBA to develop the Great Plains Technology and Manufacturing Cluster. This grant was a 5-year grant through the SBA. And really what we're doing with this grant is trying to develop a central hub whereby people that are developing new technologies or are in the manufacturing sector have a central location that they can go and see what the latest technology is that's coming out. And we've got several different initiatives that are actually being launched under this manufacturing cluster. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not 100% up on these. This is not my area that I'm working with. So we've got some other individuals here at TDI that are actually heading up this aspect of it. So the Great Plains Technology Manufacturing Cluster does have its own website, and that information is we're going to be increasing the information in the direction of that in the next couple months here. We actually have just brought on a full-time staff member this week that is starting to head this up. And so I think you're going to see more and more from this manufacturing cluster coming out in the next few months. But I'm not going to go too deep into that because my knowledge is limited at this point. So we do also have an internship experience here at the Technology Development Institute. This is typically a combination of business students and engineering students. Since '95, we've had over 650 students go through the program. Again, primarily engineering and business majors. Really what we focus on is getting the students involved hands-on in these type of development projects that we're working on. So whether the student's doing the SolidWorks modeling for a new prototype, or if they're actually doing the prior art research for some new products and the competitive market research, having the students help the inventors or entrepreneurs kind of go through that process. It's a good learning experience for the students. The entrepreneurs are able to get, the research conducted, depending on how much work is needed. A lot of times, we don't even charge if we've got students here and they have the ability to do that type of, quick research and spend a couple hours and see what they can dig up. So again, it's a good experience for the students, and it helps us to help entrepreneurs kind of do a quick yes or no, does this make sense, or where do things sit? So with that, I think that kind of gives you an overview of who we are and what we do. And, we kind of touched a little bit on the entrepreneurial side of things and looking at, how to go about evaluating new products, new technologies. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask now, and I will do my best to answer.
Brett, that was fantastic. This is Nancy. Would you go back to your slide that explains what you do for new entrepreneurs?
We're looking at this one?
Yep. When I heard you say that in 2 minutes you found somebody's patent, that thing that they couldn't find, I'm wondering, I see people from SBA and others on this call. Who else could, these are things that you charge for, right?
Yes and no.
I was going to say, it's that initial conversation that you talked about.
Yes.
The questions that you're you're asking them, that 2 minute search that sounds extremely valuable to me.
Yes. So typically when we'll sit down and have that introductory conversation with them, we'll understand what it is they're looking for. A lot of times what we'll do after we have that conversation is we'll go back and we will do a little bit of work. We'll take a look and we'll see what's out there. If I've got some business students, I will typically have them do just a quick prior art search and a competitive product search and, put together a memo of here's what we found, right? Just kind of a quick summary memo. So, we're not spending a ton of time on it. And obviously we're not going to charge for spending a few hours to look at an opportunity. But we try and put something together to give them at least some direction or things to think about. And it may be, here's the prior art we found, here's the competitive products we found. Take a look at these as time permits and get back to us and help us understand how you're different, better, cheaper, but a lot of times people don't know how to go about doing those searches and they're not complicated. They can do them themselves if they understand how to go about the process of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I hear you saying that initial conversation might very well be without cost.
Yeah. We sit down and meet with folks, like I said, and understand what it is they're looking for. And if we're not the right resource for them, there are a lot of different resources throughout the state. We'll push them in the right direction or tell them, here's maybe a better group that you can talk with. But yeah, the introductory discussion with them, we don't charge for.
Yep. Okay. And we've had the Patent and Research Office from Wichita State on our call before too, so I assume that she could help with that. But those are, when I heard the questions you asked of a person who was open to hearing those questions, I could understand how that would be extremely valuable.
Do the folks at Wichita State, do they do like prior art searches? Do they help people to do some of that, or? I do not know the answer, that prior art, but I did wonder right away if that wasn't something that that Sarah Butts could help with, the Patent and Trademark Resource Center. And like I said, the tools to do it are out there.
Yeah.
Google actually has their own patent. So Google's tapped into the U.S. So the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, has their own website that's a searchable website for U.S. patents and trademarks. But it's horrible. From a user interface, it's a disaster to use. Google actually tied into the USPTO, but Google actually also accesses international patents from, I don't know, it's like 60, 70 different countries around the world. And you can use the Google patent search. It's the same way you use Google. You go in and you're doing web searches. Well, you do patent searches the same way. You put in key terms or inventor names or things like that, and it pulls up all of the issued patents, the applications that are pending, and then it's just up to the individual to click through those. And they're difficult to read, they're patents, so, you kind of have to understand the language, but you can usually, and there's some tricks to how you search patents, looking at the citations and the references and things like that. But Usually we can sit down with somebody, I can show them in 5 minutes and they're off and running, and they can do that work on their own. And so they're not paying either us or a patent attorney to go out and do that work. So it's just a much more cost-effective way for them to better educate themselves about their opportunity.
Perfect. Okay, now maybe others have thought of their questions or your comments, whether you might know of other services that, I'm really convinced that we are not in competition with each other. We just supplement each other in different ways. So if you know of similar services, please feel free to help us know about those.
Well, speaking of other resources, this is great info. How does this relate to MAMTech and the services they provide? Big picture, what's the status of that organization? How do you all relate?
I am not 100% up to speed on where they're at today. We actually used to have a MAMTech office here at our facility several years ago. At that time, MAMTech was primarily focused on providing training services to existing manufacturers such as lean manufacturing or Six Sigma. I don't know what programs they're supporting today, but the largest differentiator between what they're offering to existing manufacturers and our staff here are the fact that we are more focused on product design and development, technology development, prototyping those things, testing those things. We don't really get involved in the training or the optimization of manufacturing anymore. That used to be some areas that we focused in, but really between our staff and the tools that we have at our organization, we are primarily focused on helping people to design and develop new things, not necessarily trying to improve their workforce or production flow or anything like that. We've kind of gotten away from that and simply focused on this area of product and technology development.
Thank you.
Thanks. Other questions? So to make contact with you, Bret, do they, you gave us your contact information at the end of the slides, and these will be on our website. What's your preferred method? Email?
Yeah. If anyone wants to reach out to us, probably the easiest thing, either email me directly or just go out to our website, ksu.edu/TDI, and there's contact information on there. There's an email, just a general email that comes into several of us here, and we can definitely get back in touch with you guys for sure.
Fantastic. Bret, I really appreciate your time. We're trying to foster an atmosphere here where people can share anything that's going on in their world about what they're working on, what they would like people to promote in their work with others. So who has something to share today about what you'd like us to be aware of? Well, fantastic. I'm not going to belabor this, but do remember that this is an opportunity for you in future months. We are going to take a little break next month, and when you realize that it's July 5th, the first Friday is the day after the 4th of July. Probably nobody wants to be the speaker on that particular day, and I'm just going to call it. So our next call isn't until the first Friday of August, which is August 2nd. And Rochelle Rowan, the program manager for business and community development with the Department of Commerce, will speak of the state of Kansas financing options for small business. And thanks to this guy here who had the idea, maybe it would be a good opportunity for Secretary Tolan to introduce himself to us. I haven't heard whether he's been able to accept our invitation, but Rochelle has invited him to Secretary Tolan to make a brief appearance on her call with him. So August the 2nd. And I hope some of you are starting to know that I'm going to have a thought for the day at the end of our call. And our thought for the day today comes from a man named Banksy, who, if you don't know him, he's a British artist and graffiti master and activist. And believe it or not, one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in 2010. Banksy says, profoundly, if you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on August the 2nd. And I hope you'll call or write anytime if we can help you here at K-State. Thanks, Bret.
You bet. Thank you.
Bye-bye.